Hi, this is Kevin Coy from Kevin's Micro Homestead, and this is episode 3 of the tiny house build that we're doing. And today what I've done is I've gone ahead and framed up for the 8x12 building that we talked about earlier. And what I did was I took the 8x8 floor frame that I already had on there and took the top and bottom plates off and added the 12-foot 2x4s and extended out my frame. And I'm reusing materials here, so what I did was I took those two plates, cut them down to 93 inches, and I put them right into the frame here to carry out my 16-inch pattern. And then I just had to add the one 2x4 on the end to finish up the floor frame. So the other thing is we got to put the deck down today, and I want to show you how that's done. The floor being 12 feet long and sheet goods being 8 foot long, you need to add a sheet and a half to get to the 12 feet. And what you want to do is you want to stagger your seams so you don't have two sheets laying side by side with one big long seam coming across here. That's going to weaken your frame. So what I did was I put these two sheets down, and I'm going to cut the other one in half. So you can see I've got 4 foot by 8 foot covered right here. Everything's squared up like we talked about in the last video, from corner to corner and corner to corner. And then I laid this one down, squared it up, and went ahead and screwed the corners down so that it would stay put. And then added the second sheet over here and laid it out the same way. And what you need to see here is when you get to the end of your sheet, as you're going down your frame, before you add your next sheet, you're splitting the middle of the 2x4, so I'm halfway on this, and then the next sheet's going to come halfway on, and then I can screw that together between the two. So my seam's only going to come to 4 feet across, and then my other sheet comes full length across that, so I don't have one big long seam going this way. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to put that 4 foot by 4 foot square of 3/4 inch plywood, just like these other two sheets, right on here, square it up, fasten it down, and that's the time you're going to be putting your liquid nails, which is a brand name. They better send me a case now that I said that. Just kidding. on the 2x4s, so I can have a construction adhesive plus screw this down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw every 6 inches all the way around the outside and across the field. And the way I want to keep track of where my screw needs to be, because I've only got 1.5 inches of board that I'm trying to hit underneath here, is I went ahead and made a chalk line that's at 16-inch center from here to here all the way down, so I know that I'm going to hit my 2x4 underneath. So I'm going to hit every 6 inches with these gold 1.5 inch construction screws, and I'll use this drill. So the other thing I want to show you is the process of cutting. For those of you that haven't used some power tools, you really need to know how to use these power tools. They're very powerful, and they can just as easily cut through your fingers, your hand, your arm, or anything else as they can wood. So if you've never used a skill saw, you need to make sure that you get some instruction from somebody before you do that, and know what you're doing before you pick one of those up and use them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this sheet up here onto my deck and get it ready. Okay. So what I've already done is I've marked 4 foot down the middle of the sheet. And I've marked it with a chalk line, so I've got a straight line to cut across. And then I've taken my skill saw and I set my depth. Hold on, I'm not getting in the camera way here. But I got a 3/4 inch piece of wood here that I'm cutting through, and so I want to make sure that my blade depth is 3/4 inch, just a little bit more, so that I'm cutting all the way through this, but I'm not cutting down into other things. And you just adjust it, the shoe right here, and make your mark at 3/4 inch. Tighten that down, and you're ready to go. So safety first, and always make sure you know where your cord is. Make sure you keep your construction site clean so you don't have things to trip over or step on and get hurt. You don't want to fall or trip when you're using power tools. So I put a couple pieces of scrap wood here underneath to lift this up so that I don't hit the framing below. And I've got my cord over here out of the way. My tools are out of the way, and I can make my cut. And after I cut it, I'll set these two sheets into the framing, and then we'll go from there. I'm not going to cut it on film right now because it's too loud. So I also have a bunch of still shots through this whole process that I'm going to put up on my blog. So if you want to see the step-by-step with commentary on what I did here today, you can go to my blog, Kevin's Micro Homestead blog on WordPress, and I'll put the link up in the comments below. I also have some tools that I took pictures of, the tools that I'm using today to get to this point, and so you can see what kind of tools you're going to need, and I'll have a little conversation about that so you can see what I'm doing. And at this point in time, if you were on a trailer, you would want to insulate underneath your frame before you put your deck on, or your subfloor, whichever you want to call this, and that way you're not dealing with it. I'm not going to right now because I can flip this over when I get it outside and put the insulation in that I want to, and then I'm going to put a bottom sheathing on to keep rodents out. And so we'll go over that in the next video, and then we'll probably start framing up some walls, and we'll show you how to frame walls and set up for putting doors and windows in and so forth. So stay tuned. It's going to start getting exciting. We're going to start seeing the building taking shape, and if you have any questions or comments, by all means ask them or submit them in on the blog or on the YouTube channel. So thanks for all your views. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time.